the Sustainability Management Master's Program, you are answering one simple question. Do you care about your future generation? If you care about your kids, their grandkids, then you care about sustainability. And a sustainability manager is someone who has the tools to make people understand how they can contribute towards developing a sustainable world. We have both part-time and full-time students. Our curriculum is 30 hours. Instead of thesis, we have a research project course and a seminar course which provides them with the kind of research background they will need to be successful in their job. But at the same time, sustainability is not always everything about environment. It also relates to the business. They will take a sustainable business strategies course. They will take a project management course. Most of these courses are going to be taught by industry people, the people who are doing sustainability on a daily basis as a part of their job. Any organization that has a large number of employees and has a physical infrastructure, they will have to have a sustainability office. If you have the passion to develop and maintain a sustainable world, come to us and we will help you shape your passion into a career which will create an impact.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to today's session of the Hugo New Corporation Sustainability Seminar Series. This weekly lecture series, organized by the Sustainability Management Master's Program and supported by the Stevens Center for Sustainability, brings leading experts to discuss innovative solutions for sustainability. The series is sponsored by Hugo New Corporation, jointly supported by WSP, HDR, and Nomadix, and co-sponsored by Brown and Cadwell, Dewberry, and H2M architects and engineers. Tonight's platform features both a presentation and a panel discussion titled From Overburdened to Empowered: Advancing Environmental Justice Through Community Collaboration. Over the summer, our guest Vincent, Khalid, and I have worked closely on this project, combining knowledge, practice, and community engagement to inspire youth towards environmental education and careers from New Jersey's most vulnerable communities. I'm pleased to welcome Vincent Caliguire, Manager of the Community Collaborative Initiative at NJDEP, where he leads efforts to improve environmental, economic, and quality of life outcomes in New Jersey's most distressed cities. I am Dr. Vaishali Kushwaha, Program Manager at the Stevens Center for Sustainability and adjunct instructor at Northeastern University, where my work advances sustainability, resilience, and equity through research, teaching, and community engagement. Guiding our discussion is Khalid Mustafa, a Ph.D. candidate in environmental engineering at Stevens Institute of Technology, whose research focuses on PFAS contamination in wastewater systems and sustainable remediation approaches. Please join me in welcoming tonight's speakers and moderator. Vincent, I would invite you to share your insights on NJDEP and CCI. Thanks.
Thank you, Vaishali. I appreciate the introduction, and special thank you to the sponsors that you mentioned. Good things happen when we have good funding, so we appreciate them. If you can go to the next slide, please.
Mhm.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody, taking time out at the end of the day. I know it's difficult to listen to us tonight. We try to make this worth your while, give you some great information about what we've been doing this summer. My name, Vincent Caliguire. I manage the Community Collaborative Initiative out of the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection. On the screen here, you see myself. Also, to my right is Corey V, who takes care of the northern sector of the cities. Next to her is Tiffany Falcone, who takes care of Trenton and some of my southern cities, and Catherine Dolan, who takes care of Patterson and some of my other cities. A couple people not here in the picture, Gary Stevenson, who helps me in Paulsboro, as well as Ivan Alvarez, who helps me in Camden. We also have a team of usually about 10 people that help us throughout that are part-timers and those type of things. But Uh, the Community Collaborative Initiative, what we do, our primary function is to help the most distressed cities here in New Jersey with their environmental issues. We find that those environmental issues are tied in with economic issues and quality of life issues. Those three things tied together. If we move one, we can move all three. And we find ourselves going into different demographics and different dynamics to try to help do whatever we can to help move these cities forward. That is our main purpose. Next slide, please. So, the Community Collaborative Initiative, uh, it's encompasses a lot of different things. But as I said, our main thing is helping the most distressed communities here in New Jersey with their environmental issues. The Department of Environmental Protection handles a lot of different environmental issues, that people may not think of necessarily. Uh, of course, we deal with flooding, air quality, things like that. But also, we have a historic department, and we have funding departments as well, like Green Acres and Blue Acres, that helps buy properties that are in or maybe distressed, or that helps out the city for flooding purposes, that type of thing. Uh, the Community Collaborative Initiative, we started out officially in 2019 as a full department in the Brownfield section of NJDEP. And that's why I originally came on. I was a liaison for Paulsboro and Salem cities. And we really function on brownfields. Brownfields are areas of past industrialization that are in need of remediation and maybe vacant or limited in use. So you can imagine that's a big part of urban sprawl. So that was our main function going into 2019. And then as we went on, we were taken into another department, and I took over as manager of the department in 2021, right after COVID. And when we did that, I put a focus more on what I was doing in the Southern territories, concentrating on multiple issues and getting embedded with the city completely so that we're part of leadership, people know who we are, and that we can function that way. That is a big part of what we do, is the connections we make and the relationships that we have, because that feeling of trust between leadership, and not only the municipal leadership or elected officials, but also the directors, the nonprofits, everything like that. We need them to understand that we're there to help in any situation that they have, and we're always going to be an advocate for them. With that coming into play, we are now in what's called the SEER department of NJDEP. That's for community investment and economic revitalization. Our assistant commissioner, Elizabeth Dragon, and Artie Zamfir, our director, have been great help in continuing this. And our commissioner, Sean Latourette, has given us latitude to go through and help these cities in any way we see fit, and has given us a lot of discretion to do these type of things. So what I'd like to do is in the next slide, I'll talk to you about some of the things that we're doing. But before I get into that, let me tell you the cities that we have here in the state of New Jersey. Now, this was legislated some time ago in 2019 when the program was first initiated as a full department. And two of the pioneers for that were Bill Lanier and Frank McLaughlin, who had the concept of let's help integrate these cities and do more with them. Now, again, that was in brownfields previously. We still do that kind of function, but we're going to go into other things as I'll explain in a moment. But our cities that we have under us right now are Paterson, Newark, Jersey City, Bayonne, Perth Amboy, Trenton, Camden, Paulsboro, Salem City, Bridgeton, Vineland, and Millville. Those being, again, that was legislated, the cities that we take on, but also we do one-offs for cities. I've helped multiple cities with any kind of problem they can call. My team will take any call, take any email, and we'll always return them. We've helped out projects in Penns Grove and Atlantic City, even though they're not here. Wherever we can see ourselves trying to help move an issue, get it to completion is a big part of what we do. Next slide, please. So, some of the projects I'm talking about, and these are all going to sound different. So I'm going to give a little time about some of the things that we do. One of the main functions of the Community Collaborative Initiative is we do cleanups, tree plantings, those type of initiatives inside the communities that we serve. Usually we get together with a nonprofit, something to that extent, or leadership in the community, try to find a project that works, that they need remedied, a problem that they need remedied, and we bring in volunteers from DEP. State workers can volunteer once per quarter for a volunteer activity. And this is a great way of doing it because we get everyone together, we develop a esprit de corps department because you need passion for what we do. And we go in and we've done some great things in different cities. Just this spring and going into the fall, we have some coming up. We've worked with Camden Strong and their cleanups all throughout the summer. and we're going to talk about Canton later because that's a really good success story. We're also got a river cleanup and a bay cleanup there in Bayonne, and we're actually using kayaks to try to get in there and get some more of the trash. And later on in October, we're going to be in Trenton helping do a cemetery cleanup and replace stones and actually repolish stones with a special organic compound. So as you can see, we do a lot of different things, and it helps us get in the communities, get to know people. They've really been great. Some of the other projects that we've had, we've been helping out Bridgeton. I don't know if anybody has been to Bridgeton, but it's quite a gem of a town. There's a zoo there, all kinds of special things, lakes, and it's quite special. So they have a landfill there right next to the one of the rivers that's coming through in the zoo. And I said, no, we can't have that. Let's get something going here. So we used a Green Acres grant to help build turn a major landfill into a BMX park that should be opening soon, including a sports complex. So there we go. Try to redo something like a landfill, repurpose it into something useful. Like my father always told me, be useful. So that's what we try to do. Another project we have coming up, our geospatial air monitoring van project. This is exciting. It's going to be in Newark, Camden, and Elizabeth. Our air quality scientists were able to secure a grant so we can get a mobile van that could do testing in certain sectors. Now we have air monitors throughout the state to tell us, readings about the air quality that you see throughout the state, and those give us readings. But with this van, we can get inside and get more accurate information, more specific information. For an example, like in Newark, there's a few incinerators right next to each other. When we come at DEP, we always tell them, who's doing it, and everyone says, it's not us or the other one's doing it. Now I have that van. Now we're going to come in. We're going to know who's doing it, and we're going to act accordingly. So you can imagine it's going to be a great thing coming forward. The other thing we have is our illegal dumping camera program. That's been in existence for a year. What we were able to do is secure illegal dumping cameras that we had already in the department. I repatriated them and had them out throughout some of our cities who wanted to participate in this program. We gave them cameras, gave them training, and showed them how to handle things like illegal dumping, not just cameras, but with legislation, making sure your fines are there, making sure that you have a judicial backup on the fines that you want to input. And this has a great effect. So we've been getting some great results from this. In the smaller towns that use the cameras, they're able to deter litter because these cameras also have a warning module on them that gives a verbal warning so people will move on and not do the wrong thing. But it also has the ability to capture license plates and things like that. So it's a great help for moving endeavors forward. And the program has been great. And we're going to continue it another year and actually expand it to non-CCI cities because they need help as well. And I wanted to do that. Another big part of 2026 is be our main function is the supplemental environmental project. This is going to be particularly interesting. And we're working on it hard. And there's a lot of legislations involved with this. But what we plan to do is repurpose any kind of environmental fine, not any kind, let's be specific, with a good partner, and repurpose that money that they give to the state for the fine. Let's put that to an environmental project that could help the constituents near where that contamination or that problem occurred. So I can't wait to get this started. We did it before in big projects. I want to do smaller projects within our CCI cities. So we're going to start that out. Really excited about that in 2026. Food deserts, we help out a great deal with that. We're looking at the feed grant coming from NJDEP. They're going to announce the winners shortly. And we're hoping to have some winners in Trenton, Camden, and Salem, where we're going to help with their projects for food distribution and kitchens, things like that. This is one of the things we do in CCI, helping our partners with going for grants, getting that money, and then actually executing the plan that they have involved and making sure they're reporting on time, all these things. So all the agencies feel good about the money they gave. There's a good project. They know when CCI backs up something that we're going to see it to the finish. So really proud about that. And one last thing to mention is our Salem City development. And I saved this for last because this is interesting. I know a lot of us are paying higher utility bills, right? Well, there's a reason for that. One of these reasons are these data centers that are opening up. We need that. We're going to need that for AI before they take over everything. So what we have to do is get these data warehouses running properly, running efficiently. Way to do that is to have battery cells. And it's technologies do, but instead of taking off the grid, because they use massive amounts of electricity and water, and the water is used to cool the electricity and the heating that's going on there with the computing. Using separate battery cells made, hopefully in Salem City, where you can repurpose them and put them to the plants, deliver to them. They could use these large batteries of sodium chloride. There's no waste. It doesn't put anything on the grid. We're seeing this as a possible one of the solutions we have to bring these prices down and still handle all the power that's necessary for these data centers. So really great projects. I love what I do and all these different things. And we actually get to help the community. Uh, every day is a blessing. And we look forward with our passion to move forward on these things. So really good. And this leads into one of the things that we do with CCI is helping our departments with some great things, including, next slide, please, our youth inclusion endeavor, which is what I want to speak about before I finish today. But our youth inclusion initiative originally started out in the summer of 2021. It's been led by Priya Ratanpara, who's been a great person in making this happen. She didn't join us this summer, so we had a lot to do on our own, and it was hard without her, but we were able to get it going. She set the foundation for success from the previous years. Now, what youth inclusion is about, it does a lot of things. What it's helping is giving an advantage to these young adults in these distressed communities, right, with an opportunity to see what environmental science about, see what environmental jobs are about. They get to learn about different aspects of it. They get to learn about professionalism, learning to write your resume. They're taking all these things and they're learning to network. So there's more than just the environmental part going on. And all through that, they're getting paid, and it's a great endeavor. We've seen kids come out of this with jobs in the department or environmental jobs, or they open up their horizons. You know, a lot of these kids come from distressed communities. They're not even thinking of school or anything. And you know, they're doing well in school. And then we show them, hey, these are opportunities available for you. And we love having people from distressed cities. We want to bring in more minorities. We want to have a bigger, broader expectation or a bigger, broader category of people to work from. You know, we all benefit from that. So youth inclusion is such a great program. I love doing it, and we get some great things from it. Now, in particular, you go to the next slide, please. I have to say, my work with Stevens was great. Now, at first, because and I lived down South Jersey, I was thinking about the travel I had, and then I met Vaishali, Khalid, and everyone who worked for him, Amir and Mohammed, and they were fantastic. I'm really impressed by what they did, and I learned a lot, so much from Vaishali and things that she mentioned to me. Talk about environmental technology in Singapore. It's fascinating, and the beautiful thing I thought with Stevens that I haven't seen with the other groups is like they took time out as we were doing things to explain things like how flooding is. Like I remember we were in Newark. I said, "What are the pictures here?" You're explaining to them how they redirected when the flood water comes in and rainwater opens up their minds. And you have to understand too, the kids that we had in this program for Stevens were all fantastically gifted students, hardworking kids, really impressed with what they knew. And they were all involved in this and getting all this kind of information. So whatever endeavor they go to, they're keeping sustainability, environmentalism in their minds for what they're working on. So it was great throughout. I mean, one thing was the things that DEP had lined up, which included, you know, things to visits to, you know, different waterworks or waste elimination, things like that. So they have that part of it, but then the instruction that they were getting from Stevens and this extra part of it and learning about different things, I think took it to another level. It was really great to watch it, and it was a great experience to be part of. You know, you see some of the pictures here. We have, and I got to say too, the students that we had for Stevens, always good, whether in the classroom or anything else. A real pleasure. I'm encouraging Vaishali to do it again this year. And I want to do an even bigger, better project. I was telling him before we got started today, and I love bringing in the universities. But I think we had such a good time with this. And again, excuse me, that's my dog. The experience we had from this alone, and from my experience, was great. Just in terms of what I was able to get out of it, and a whole other aspect of learning from these kids, what they know, how they approach things, and everything else. So I think it's so good on so many levels, and it was so good having you all a part of that. Want to see you in next year, and I think we you know, the kids got a lot out of it. Excuse me, the young adults got a lot out of it, and they're going on to bigger, better things, which is really interesting. I want to see what happens with that. You know, and I think, you know, having a couple months with youth inclusion is a great thing to have, and it's such an experience. The kids don't forget about it, and it stays with them forever, I think. So really good experience from that. Next, please. I've been talking for a bit now, so if anyone has questions or anything, I leave my contact information. I always take a call or email, or if you have any questions about what I talked about, if you have issues or anything else, there's my information to come in. And I thank you for letting me talk today, and looking forward to your questions later.
Thank you, Vince. Thanks a lot for such kind words and a great overview of what you do at CCI and YIA as well. So I'll go next. I didn't get your email. Okay, so we can share the email and contact address, Khalid? Yeah, okay. We will do that. We will put it up in chat, or Khalid will email you all the students enrolled. And I can go with the second piece of today's session, which is me talking about Stephen's experience of running this program. And then we will break in for discussions. Khalid can ask his questions, and so can everyone else. Okay, so I'm gonna start sharing my screen. Is it visible, Khalid? Can we look at my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, thank you. You can, yeah, all right, okay. Wonderful. So let's move on. All right, so yes, as I said, I'll share the Stevens perspective for this youth inclusion initiative, but I want to start with what is Stevens Center for Sustainability? There are some guests with us today, but also some of the new students may not be aware of what the center has to offer. So we are a collaborative cross-disciplinary platform advancing innovation, student learning, and community engagement in environmental, social, and economic sustainability. So the programs that the center runs are, as of now, in 5 different sectors. The first one being the scholarships. These are pre-college scholarships, undergraduate research scholarships, as well as PhD scholarships, primarily coming from our main sponsors, the PSEG. And these scholarships are driven towards environmental justice in New Jersey and around. The second component that center supports is the seminar, which you all are part of, the Tuesday seminar series that Dr. Sarkar leads, and the center also supports. The third arm for the center is the research, which is primarily cross-disciplinary and conducted by the principal investigators like Dr. Sarkar in the Environmental Sustainability Lab and other scholars. The academics is the Masters in Sustainability program, which many of you are part of, but we also have a sustainability module that we introduced in the pre-college program. So all the various educational opportunities that are offered at Stevens, some of them are through the centers or the center staff is involved in them. So that's the academic arm of ours. And lastly, the initiative. And this is where the New Jersey Department of Environment Protection's Youth Inclusion Initiative fits in. This is one of the first grants that, one of the first few grants that we have received and successfully implemented. So a little bit more about the YII program. Vince gave you an overview. I will dwell a little deeper into the program and the logistics and execution aspects. So as per the DEP, this program is designed to empower the youth from overburdened communities in New Jersey by providing them hands-on experience, environmental insights, and introducing them to some of the technical skills necessary to pursue a career in environmental protection. And before I go further, I want to make sure that we all are on the same page and we understand what does overburdened community means. In the New Jersey terms, it's actually a census block group meeting any of the following criteria. It could be a census block with greater than equal to 35% of households which are low income, or 40% of residents that are minority or members of a state recognized tribal community, or 40% of the households or more have limited English proficiency. The map that you see on the slide is actually the EJ map from the DEP website, and it shows the overburdened community and the adjacent groups. And if you look at this and what Vince showed as CCI towns, you will see an overlap that many of the CCI towns are actually in the green OBC category or the overburdened communities category. Bringing you back on what the YII project is all about. It's actually about building a diverse and inclusive green workforce, as Vin said, but the program is designed as a 6-week program during the month of July and August, and it is aimed at youth aged 16 to 20 who have the desire to learn about protection and conservation of New Jersey's air, land, and water. And the program specifically focuses on communities that have limited access to open space and natural lands, which helps them further DEP's intentional approach to diversity and inclusion efforts. So the way the YII is designed is that it provides a partnership opportunity for community host organizations. We also call that CHO, to recruit, supervise, and provide youth with professional development services. And Stevens was one of the 10 CHOs chosen for this program in 2025. And what happens here is that while the youth learn during the program, it is not necessarily a summer camp. It is more like an internship or a stipend job opportunity where the youth participate. So they are expected to perform while they also get paid. So the main components of the YII are basically a three-pronged approach. The first one being a community project, which is the opportunity for the host organization to work with the youth on a community-based project, specifically related to improving the environment, the physical aspects of a city or town or an environment. The second key component is what is called the DEP days, and these are curated for youth participants to get hands-on experience on activities and receive guidance from the professionals, the DEP professionals primarily, and they gain valuable skills and knowledge across a wide range of environmental fields. As you can see, some of them are listed here. The DEP relies on their extensive staff from different programs like water resource management, site remediation, redevelopment, air, energy sector, Green Acres program, the NJ State Park Services, fish, wildlife, and so on and so forth. And the third and the last key component is on professional development of the youth. And these are the days and activities where the host organizations provide them with resume writing workshops or cover letters and journal prompts to reflect on what they have been learning. Also provide them the tools and supplies that they may need to work on their final projects and presentations. So DP also arranges some guest lectures for such days, and they come in and again expose the youth to new fields and green careers. So while it's a 6-week program, for 5 weeks, there is intensive learning, training, exposure. The final week is towards wrapping it all up and basically celebrating the success. So in the final week is when the youth provide their final presentations. They go through mock interviews and career fair at DEP. There is also a grand closing ceremony to celebrate their achievement, and that of CHOs as well. Specifically about what Stephen's team learned or experienced, I think I want to begin with saying that it was a great overlap between Center's objective mission and what NJDEP planned for YII. So our entire focus on advancing student learning and community engagement through collaboration fits squarely with the YII initiative, which sort of focuses on empowering youth through hands-on learning experience. And I think that's what Vince was highlighting, that because of our expertise in education and scholarly advancement, we were able to transfer that knowledge also to the youth. And it was not just no longer just DEP exposure, but also knowledge-based learning that they acquire at Stevens. This is just an overview of the timeline of the entire project. We started somewhere in February, and the entire decision of grant was made and award was provided or made by April. And then April to June was the time of planning and hiring both the staff and the youth for the program, and the execution happened in the 6 weeks of July, soon after the 4th of July holiday. And then the August and September, the last week of August and September is when we are wrapping up in terms of the financial closure for the project. So one of the key components was to get the youth. And as we said, the emphasis was to attract youth from underrepresented communities. So the strategy that Stevens had used was that we relied on leveraging our existing pre-college program office, which partners with 18 New Jersey high schools in low-income communities with large population of underrepresented minorities. So we focused on getting in touch with the high school counselors and science educators and principals in the public high schools of Newark, West New York, Union City, and North Virgin. And they helped us spread the word. We had a Google form application with had questions, including an essay about their understanding and importance of environment. We also followed it up with selected interviews, and with all that information, we made the final selection of 13, and out of that, 10 youth joined us, and one youth sort of had to leave in between due to personal reasons after 2 weeks. So this photograph is actually of the final day where we had 9 happy youth as part of our program. And this entire project was just not at all possible without the team because it was extensive. We were helping manage and mentor all these youth in and out. So the team included, it had me, it had Khalid as a supervisor. We also had 2 more student assistant supervisors. They were leading both transportation and social media respectively. And for professional development, we were glad to bring in Pam. Some of you may know her because she also guides in Green Career at master's level. And Dr. Sarkar was our mentor in this whole program. So there were 2-pronged approach that Stevens used. One was hiring the youth that were to be trained, but also the staff was primarily majority graduate level or undergraduate level students who also in turn got exposed and got the exposure of what the environmental sector looks like in New Jersey, got the opportunity to network with people as well. So getting into a little bit quickly on the 3 components at Stevens. So for the community project, our youth worked on a stormwater management and beautification project, focusing on the catch basins and the flood prone areas of Newark. We had the partnership with the Office of Sustainability and the Department of Water and Sewer Utilities in the city. That helps us identify the location, get the tools, get the needed approvals where the students could work. So yes, without that partnership and Vince was our community liaison from DEP. So he used to be with us on community project days. And the way it looked was that on first of the Mondays, we learned about what does stormwater management look like, what are the different approaches. So this is where the knowledge and integrating and imparting the lessons came in. Followed by meeting with the City of Newark officials, their experience, their learning. And then we had our first survey of the sites that we had identified in the classroom. We went on one of the community days to survey the areas, identify the locations. And once the locations was finalized, approvals were received, the work started, which included cleaning up the sites and then beautification of those sites. So these were the 2 locations, the Ironbound community and the Rutgers Newark campus that we surveyed. And the dots over there are the locations that we identify as potential sites. And these are the beautiful outcomes of all the cleanup. They were super hot summer days. Students and youth were struggling. So was the staff to keep them hydrated, healthy, inspired, helping them finish their artwork. So many of these artworks have footprints and handprints of Khalid and me as well. But yeah, that was the community project. Moving on to the DEP days. The DEP days, every week, they were visiting offices under a certain department or focus area. So for instance, week 1 was park, forest, and historical sites, and week 2, similarly, water resource management, and so on and so forth. So I'll quickly show you what a week looks like. This is a short video that the youth made. They made a short clip for every week as part of their final presentation. This is just for demonstration. Oh, you will not be able to hear the sound, right? Uh-oh. How do I do this? Okay, I'm gonna. I should have thought about
Everything in the water. It's lighter than water.
Yeah, so great memories, a lot of exposure, a lot of that they learned within those days. And then lastly, the third and the final component for Stephen's team was the professional development day. As Vince said, I completely agree. We had an amazing set of youth at our hand. They were really passionate about learning and giving their best. So they would work and rework their final projects. This photo is just showing they are making an outline of what the community project presentation should look like. We also had workshops with Pam, helping them with their resumes, LinkedIn, networking, including the skills like presentation, making the presentation in front of 100 people, getting the jitters out. We had some visitors from different departments and associated company. Here there is the water hydrant showcase. It was amazing. All the equipments they brought into Stevens and Babio and showed to us and youth. And then the youth also presented to the city of Newark their work on community project. Oh, that was the professional day. And just wrapping up the whole thing with some of the youth reflections. They had so much to say, what they were thankful for, the skills they gained. I think every one of them had something amazing to say. And some of the fun things what they learned, some of them learned how to fish. They had never fished, they had never been fishing. They learned how to clam. I mean, not all of us or any one of us would get an opportunity to know how clams are raised and how you can have fresh clams from ocean. Some of them tried it. How to ID the birds, how to find the age of a tree, how to manage forest fire, how to properly recycle, what happens to the things which are recycled at the end, how is the water treated in the town, and so on and so forth. There were so many things, and I think they really made strong friendships with each other, which is going to last forever for them. And they truly appreciated to have learned the things that they didn't know existed behind. You know, the world goes on, the environment is the way it is, but they learned who are the people and what it takes to maintain and improve such things. And lastly, I want to leave you all with the story map that was developed by Amir, but this is an all-inclusive information sharing for this program. I would share the link in the chat, I think, because now it's on my screen. But you know what? Let me reshare it. If you bear with me, I'm going to reshare a different screen because this is worth showing. I don't want to skip this. Give me a minute. Okay. Okay. Khalid, can you see the Safari screen now? All
Yeah.
right. Great. So this is the story map about Stevens 2025 experience of YII. Starts with introduction, all the youth that we had with us for 6 weeks. And then you can go to the YII journey, and the way it is designed is that for every week, we have plotted the places they visited or the places that they worked and what did they do on that day. So this is like the week one. It started with an orientation day, which was at Stevens, followed by the orientation at the DEP office in Trenton. And the first week was about park services. So here they went for the forest fire and park services. You can also see all the photographs. We cannot possibly show each and every one of them because that's how many hundreds and thousands we have. But this story map is our small effort to document the experience and the learnings that we had and the youth had. So this is like week 2, which was, again, you can go on about different days, what did they do in detail. And similarly, there is a tab for community project, which shows the locations that we worked on, the final outcome that we delivered, and we wrap it up with a reflection. So yeah, that's nostalgia for all three of us, but I know it may not be relevant to anyone else here. So we would ask Khalid if you have some questions for Vincent and I. We have another 15 minutes, I think, uh,
Yeah,
for an open Q&A.
yeah. So that was great, Vince and Dr. Vaishali. So just to have like more elaborate, like what we did and like those things, I will just have some questions with you. So for my first question is for Vince. Like Vince, you mentioned like in Camden, where CCI has been deeply engaged, what do you see as the most significant environmental or community revitalization outcomes so far? And how can you youth programs like YII help build on and sustain those success?
Thanks, Elliot. No, I'm glad you brought up Camden because we just got information just a couple days ago that we found out, and this is amazing that they had no murders this summer. That hasn't happened in 5 decades, right? That's incredible. And people don't understand this part of it, but cleaning up your environment, making things better, the connections that you get from that, this years of work, and the police said this, that this had an effect on it. Not only is that happening, legal dumping's down, um, as well as crime activity, a whole bunch of things in an area that was considered like forgotten, that it couldn't be helped. And it really tremendous. And a big thing, a big part of that was the buy-in from Camden to listen to us, to involve us, to take in some of the information that we were talking about, taking some of the ideas we had and trying to incorporate them. But the Camden Strong part of it, that's their Camden Strong is a organization made up by the government there to involve volunteers to do cleanups around the city. Just had a tremendous effect. In fact, last year for youth inclusion, we had 2 different groups from Camden, which is unusual, which kind of why we didn't have anyone from Camden this year. I want to get the back in, but all the kids are involved in that. I would see at these Camden Strong events. A lot of them wanted to do careers in environment that never thought about that. And it's really important, I believe, for we get to these distressed cities. We need, as I was saying earlier, we need more minority representation, especially in our department. I don't know why, but the field seems to be, for a number of time, you'd see a certain type of demographic. Now it's brought it out much more, which helps everything because we're getting different perspectives. We're getting different ideas about how to take on these things. We're getting people in the community who are affected by environmental issues, getting them into understanding this and understand environmental justice, which, nowadays you have to be careful when you say that, but, we still believe in it. It's still an important part of what we do. Our commissioner is 100% behind that. And, we're doing like the greater good. I always say this to anybody who, when it comes to anything political, we all want clean air. We all want clear water. There should be no argument there. So, having more kids involved in these endeavors and the programs like youth inclusion allow this, and,
Yeah.
Holly, a different aspect of it too is having, when we had Stevens involved, a totally different aspect where it had, these top performing students so into it, and I wanted to get them environmental perspective. They learned so much. And, yeah, I think it's great to have youth inclusion involved in some of these cities. It's part of it. It helps me a great deal getting into the cities. Just meeting you all alone. Now I have connections in Hoboken to do more there, and Hoboken does a lot of great things. So, it's great to be a part of that. But I definitely see youth inclusion, definitely jobs in the environment. Those things helps along with that, opens exposure to these kids to these kind of careers that are here. And I know a lot of people might say, well, environmental jobs may be on the down low right now, or might be diminished. And the one thing I learned from being involved with this for the last 10 years is everything's cyclical. Eventually this will come back, and nobody wants to see New Jersey like it was in the 1970s when you'd see contaminated waste, even like nuclear waste out in barrels and things like that. We can't have that. We're not going back to that. So having our youth understand this, which I know they do, and keeping it as a perspective in whatever discipline they pursue, I always think is important. But thank you for
Thank you,
asking
Vince.
that.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Dr. Vaishali, I just wanted to ask, like from your work at Stevens Center hosting YII, what outcomes have you seen for youth, whether in skills gained, career interest sparked, or contribution to local environment projects that mirror the kinds of community revitalizations Vince just described in Camden?
Thanks, Khalid. Um, um, it's helpful. It's a great question. I didn't cover it in my presentation, but some of the things that we observed over the period of the program was that some of the youth knew what they wanted to do in their life, in their careers, but others were not sure. And many of them found a way. Like through this program, they found out areas that could they be interested in. Someone interested in arts started thinking in terms of infographic, in terms of environmental awareness through design and aspects. Someone who was interested in medical started thinking about how environment impacts the mental health of people, or recovery after an injury. So there were a lot of connections that youth started making to the interest of from environment based on their specific interest, and the students who were lost found a direction, I guess. And I think apart from just environmental, the skills, it was so important for almost every one of them. These were like 16, 17-year-old young students in high school. So for all of them, it was their very first job experience, turning up every day, being able to access what work day looks like because they were part of Steven. Steven has a system in place and they all had to be hired as proper staff. So going through that entire procedure of what a proper hiring looks like. And then following those steps and doing their timesheets every week, getting paid. So there were so many other professional skills that they learned apart from professional development that came from PAM or the DEP days. Yeah, there was a lot, and I think they loved contributing. Looking back at Camden and what CCI is trying to do with cities, these many of these students were from Newark or a CCI city, and they started making those connections between what they can do as individual, as a household, as a person, to their immediate environment. In fact, many of them wanted to adopt a storm drain because New York relaunched their Adopt a Storm Drain program, and the students knew exactly what needs to be done to keep it clean, to create awareness, and they wanted to extend that. So, yeah, I mean, there is so much more. It keeps giving.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Vaishali. This question is for both of you as we are running short of time. So, like on a personal note, what has been your most rewarding moment leading YII at SCS, and what has been the most difficult challenge you had to navigate? Vince, you can begin with.
Hmm. Um, Offhand, I would say from youth inclusion, I think the best thing I got out of it, I think, was the camaraderie, the teamwork that I saw at Steve was really remarkable. I thought that stood out to me from our groups. It was definitely a bonus for me. It was good. It was one of the difficulties with youth inclusion. Not that there's many, but with some of the groups, we're dealing with kids from the cities. They can have, they haven't been involved. They haven't seen these kind of things. It's different for them. So we take that in consideration. I have a very open mind, and I wasn't the best kid growing up, so I always keep that in mind with these kids. And we do have some issues sometimes with people getting along and things like that. But that worked out well, and it allowed for really to how do you handle a problem without being physical? You know, how do you do that? A lot of these kids don't. They understood a little bit more of that from where they came from. Um, so that part of it. But I was saying, I think we had positive conclusions out of that. In actuality, the kids are always on a positive note, always doing well with that. So I don't have too many problems with that. But if I had to pick one on that, but definitely what I saw at Steve was, yeah, the teamwork, everyone getting along, and just that positivity, the questions, really, like, I thought, as an ideal case scenario with what we do with youth inclusion and the outcomes. I think definitely positive, and just the reaction from a lot of the kids who were, when they came in originally being quiet, and then they opened up to a lot more things. That was good.
Thank you, Dr. Vaishali.
Let's see. If I have to talk about the most rewarding, I mean, there have been many moments, but I think something on the top would be seeing them happy and successful every time they did something that they thought was too difficult.
Yeah.
Let it be someone who's scared of water, trying to do fly fishing or getting into the stream, and I getting the videos if I'm not there on that day, and seeing them overcome the fear and everyone supporting them. The number of iterations these youth did for their final presentations, oh my God. I mean, it was like next level. I didn't expect 16 years old to be so professional in terms of taking the feedback and wanting to improve on it again and again and again. So that's something that was really rewarding to see. And I think just the team itself, like us, Khalid, me, Mohammed, Amir, Pam, all of us coming together and being able to successfully implement it was a big achievement for each and every one of us. I think I'm really proud of that. And when it came to the difficulty and challenges, I think we were definitely scared in the beginning because none of us had had the experience of working with these young group of youth. The youngest that we worked with are undergraduate students at Stevens. So I think we all were a little worried, but DEP helped us guide us through the orientation days of what are the best practices of communicating and working with them. And yeah, so fingers, I mean, it was great. We didn't have major issues with youth behavior. But I did feel that it was very unfortunate losing one of the youth member dropping out. I mean, the person was a really promising youth, but for some personal reasons that unfortunately we couldn't help her with, and she had to drop out, and that was something that really broke all of us and the rest of the group because she was such a close friend and connection for everyone. And I think some of the things were really challenging. Getting them food and keeping them interested in food. Someone has to deliver the food at 8 o'clock in the morning. I mean 7:30 on DEP days, and it has to be. It can't be repetitive because the youth are not going to eat it. Issues of like, oh, the van broke down one morning. We need a battery to jumpstart. So yeah, there were things like that happened, but we solved it. Things happen. Great team on staff members. And DP was really understanding on the days we were running. I mean, forget about the traffic. Khalid should add. Khalid should add about the traffics that they had, the ice creams we had to feed the youth to keep them going on the hot days. Yeah,
Yes.
a lot of positives and struggles, but all in all, something that we are happy to do it again, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I would like to conclude this session and we will open the room for like audience question.